Aloha, it's me, Dashama, and I'm making this video today. I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he's a yoga teacher, and a very famous yoga teacher actually, but it's interesting because we were having a conversation, and usually in my life tends to be the conversation will circle back around to spirituality and to God and kind of that whole idea and the concept. And so this video I'm going to be sharing a little bit about this very common question that I get, which is, how do you know there's a God? I remember one time when I think I was 26 years old, I went on a trip to Israel actually, and it was very interesting because I was with 40 other young people between the ages of 18 to 26 years old. And there was a point in the group when the leader of the groups asked us, they said, who here believes in God? We were all in this trip to the Holy Land, in Israel, and out of the whole group, I was the only person that said that I believed in God. And I was really surprised about that because actually it was a kind of a spiritual group, and they were all Jewish, young Jewish people. And so I was surprised because I thought that to be Jewish would mean that you believed in God or something. I'm not Jewish, I don't really have a religion, but my father's Jewish, I was in this group. And anyway, long story short, that it woke me up to an understanding that there's a lot of question about the presence and the existence of God. So I want to make this video because I feel that my life, this lifetime, brought me to an experience of God, of knowing God, not just believing. Like, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in God at all. I believe that beliefs change. So we change our beliefs just as often as we change our underwear, we change our mind about stuff. So if you believe in something, there's a good chance that that belief can change. And that's happened for me in the past. So there was a time when I believed in, let's say, or was really into the Christian church. And then there came a time when the religious dogma of the church became somewhat repressive, and I got really depressed because they have a lot of rules, and it's like you shouldn't have sex before marriage. That's a big one. And I remember at the time I had a boyfriend, and we were living together for a year before we started really contemplating, oh no, are we sinning? Are we going to hell? And this kind of really repressive dogma from that religion brought me into a deep depression because I felt that there was a heavy burden coming from it of guilt. And a lot of religion, I feel, really comes from this perspective of guilt, and actually, I think there's a well-intentioned meaning behind a lot of it. They want to keep people in, a virtuous living. But at the same time, a lot of religion is also intending to control people. So there's a very huge difference between religion and spirituality. And for me, in spirituality, what that actually is a direct experience of the infinite source. So the source of all creation, the source of everything, the source of the earth, the solar system, the universe, all of creation, humanity, all the beings, all the plants, everything that has any kind of life, the source of all life, that's what we're talking about. When I talk about God, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the supreme source of everything. So the supreme source is in us all. And I was thinking about a good analogy for this. It's kind of like the ocean. If you're a drop of water and you're just existing within this massive ocean, you may not even have an awareness of the ocean because the water is just part of the ocean. So it may not really have an understanding from a higher perspective of seeing this great, huge cosmic consciousness that connects all the water drops and that holds space for all of the water, which that is the source. That is God. And so God is an energy, right? It's a powerful, powerful energy. It's the most creative, and I would hesitate to say, but maybe it's also the most destructive energy. Like the other day, someone asked about, you know, good and evil with God. I think that there's no good or evil. It's just energy. So it's creative, it's destructive. The constant creation and destruction is the process of life. That's how everything in existence grows, evolves. Look at plants. You know, a plant it's a seed, it sprouts, it becomes a plant, then eventually it dies. And then all of the organic matter from the plant goes back to the earth and then springs forth another life. And you could see all of life this way. That's how I see life. So humans are no different. We can, look at this little spider, a little friend here. All of life is kind of in this constant cycle of birth and death. So in some of the different more Eastern religions, they have ideas about this. So it's like, you know, samsara is being trapped in the cycle of suffering and birth and death. Or some people say reincarnation is somewhat a cycle of suffering and birth and death. If your life is suffering, then you can feel that you're trapped in a cycle of samsara. If your life is joyful and blessing and wonderful, and you have amazing connections with people and with the earth, then maybe you won't see life as samsara. Maybe you can see it as a blessing and a gift and a miracle, and you can see your life as a miracle, and you can see everything as a miracle, and you can start to really live from that place, that connection to source, which helps you to understand and see that your life is a miracle, and see that everything that happens for a reason, and that everything that happens to you is your teacher. Every experience is our teacher. That's what I've come to understand. So instead of seeing like all these bad things that happen, it's like, okay, that was part of the learning lesson of this life. I do like to go to the root of it. I'm like, why did I need to learn this lesson? Why didn't I just know, right? One of the lessons in this life that I felt like I had to learn from very, very young was non-attachment. Literally attachment to nothing. Even starting right out, my parents. You know, I grew up in foster homes, and I grew up without parents, really. So it's one of those things. It's like, you know, life will give you whatever it is that you need to learn in order to grow. And for some reason, my soul needed that. So I grew, and I grew strong, and I grew early, and I grew very, very deep. And it's our pain that takes us into the depth. So if you haven't experienced that much pain in your life, then, you know, you haven't been taken to that depth, possibly. But if you have, and maybe you're watching this and you've experienced deep pain in your life, and you can understand what I'm talking about, because in those moments, that's when we get tested, and it's also, I believe, when we get to have a direct experience of God, because it's God that shows up as a miracle in that moment when we're suffering, when we're in pain, and we're at the bottom of despair, or whatever the experience may be, and then we see the light, and we have an epiphany or a revelation, and we can understand why this happened or what the message is, and we can grow from it. And all of a sudden, that deep, dark pain becomes a massive catalyst for growth, and we have the opportunity to become a better person, and to grow and to evolve. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're really in this human experience to do. To grow, to evolve, and to experience life, right? And all the beautiful things of life. Love, and joy, and service, and to give, and to experience the giving and receiving process. And so as we journey through this beautiful life together, and as maybe you go through both hard times and good times, you can find peace and solace, comfort in knowing that we are all part of this massive cosmic existence, interconnected, all beings interconnected by the source. And you can call it God, you can call it the supreme source, you can call it whatever you want. Many people have many different names for this. But it's that ever-present love and that connection that we feel to life itself, to existence itself. It's that miracle that shows up. It's the beautiful people that support you along your journey. It's the hard lessons as well. Don't discredit hard lessons. They are not evil, right? They are your teacher. You can look at your teacher like the person or the experience as evil, but truly that's just a projection of the mind. That's judgment. But at the very existential perspective, it's truly just all the same. You know, it's just a lesson. It's an experience. It's guiding the soul journey to its highest evolution. And this is our opportunity. You can choose to see life this way, or you can choose to not believe in God and believe that, you know, maybe you are the center of the universe. That's the main distinguishing difference, I think. When you don't believe in a higher power, generally that means that you believe you are the higher power, or that the ego itself wants to believe that it is the center of the universe. And as a result of feeling the center of the universe, in many ways it can attract many good things. The ego is very powerful, so it can attract a lot of blessings when it feels like it's the center of the universe. But then at the same time, it can cause a lot of suffering out of selfishness, narcissism, and these types of kind of disorders of the ego. So you want to check your ego. I don't believe that you need to kill your ego, but check your ego. And as you start to expand beyond the small little s, the little self, into the higher self, you can truly start to experience a spiritual life. So the spiritual life, it does not mean that we don't live in the world and have a physical life. You have both. You have to have both. We're in a body. We're in this beautiful world. You need to have both. But at the same time, stay connected to the source. Stay connected to God consciousness. Even if, whatever you call that in your life, you can call it whatever you want. But stay connected to that divine presence of miracles and abundance and positivity and love and oneness and non-judgment and kindness, sharing and giving and being of service. Stay connected to that, and then whatever it is that you call the higher power will always be continuously and ever present, supporting you every step of the way on your journey. So I hope this message serves you well. I was getting a message today that I want to share more, do these little talks on my channel here. So if you like these talks, please leave a comment or click like. Tell me what you think of it. I'm happy to do more if you like. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for me to cover, I'm happy to do that as well. And I would love to meet you at one of our trainings or retreats somewhere around the world. So feel free to visit the website. You can see the link below. Send me a message. Tell me how you're doing. And hopefully I will see you somewhere along the path. Many blessings. Namaste.